you
Well,
know,
it's
in a
it's been
challenging year.
quite a devastating year and a couple of. I mean, gosh, I feel like anytime I've spoken to somebody in your line of work and in your part of the country, I feel like every month I'm saying what a hard month this has been, and of course, right now again is no exception. We're all thinking of you and your family, and want to dive in, of course, at some point to talking about how you guys are coping and what this means for winemaking and what it means for your winemaking in particular, um, and uh, and then have some tasty things. Are we on right now?
We're
Are we
totally
live?
on. We're
That's
totally on.
great. Good,
Yeah.
good.
So,
We're a minute early. I love it.
and I'm sure we're going to run late. So
Right.
we've got a lot to talk about. But before we do, Josh, and I'm very happy to talk a little bit about what's going on here. It's everybody's
Yeah,
interested. I get emails all the time, but let's talk first. Let's introduce why we're here.
sure.
Because I think that the Find Your Light Foundation touches both of our hearts. I'm so grateful for you for starting it, and so grateful to you for inviting me to participate by making wine together. So
Thank you.
tell us a little bit about this extraordinary organization that we're both pouring our hearts and
Pouring,
souls into.
pun very much intended, our hearts into. Well, Ross, thank you so much. First of all, for inviting me to do this virtual tasting with you. It's been such a wonderful dream come true for me to work on such an extraordinary wine as the kind that you and Halleck wine makes, and to do it for such an incredible cause that we both hold very near and dear to our heart. I was just on a virtual kind of a Zoom conference last night that was for Americans for the Arts, that was talking about the importance of arts in our schools, especially now. And my mom was on it with me, and we were talking with some incredible arts advocates and panelists about just the importance of the arts, and just very quickly, arts education is something that was key to my survival growing up and continues to be. It opened me up to a world of possibilities. It helped me express myself for the first time in my life. It helped me advance in my school life. I made friends. A very shy, introverted kid turned into a very, at least a more communicative one, and one that knew where my path needed to be because of the arts. And when I see what's happening today, and I see the isolation and the fear and what every student is going through, especially right now, I'm so devastated for the young people that are having to deal with such a complicated reality right now. Not to mention the fact that many of them aren't even in school at all at the moment, and it breaks my heart that they don't get to have that side of the education that was so vital to my life, to your life, to you have some incredible sons that are artists as well, and you've got such an artistic and wonderful family, and so whenever I wax poetic about the arts and education, people from all walks of life that I would have never expected pull me aside and say, and this is a perfect example that I would have never known as a brilliant winemaker. When we got in touch and I reached out because I loved your wine, I had no idea that we would share that connection in the arts as well as wine. So, all things lead through art. It is our universal language and connector. And at a time when there is so much division, we need it. And I think there's a lot of similarities to making wine and making art. Wine is art. But I think Tara Caccone has just signed on, and Rachel Busick from my management office. And it's so nice to see so many wonderful friends. And I'm seeing some comments from people all over. Somebody just wrote, "My mom stole the show." She did steal the show. She made such an incredible impassioned speech last night about the arts. And so to everybody who's tuning in right now, and to those who are, whether they're fans of the wine or fans of mine or fans of the wonderful human being Ross is, welcome. And I'm just so happy to have been part of this journey with you, Ross, and to have made these delicious wines with you.
Well, I couldn't say ditto loud enough. And, that said, here we are in 2020. And as you said, things have changed radically for the young people who are artists, who are looking for connection and struggling, as well as scholars in general who are struggling to connect. and we've both had to do some pivots ourselves. And so,
We have indeed.
yeah, I'd be interested in hearing how you've pivoted in this. We had some events we were going to do together, and they blew up
I
in
know.
smoke. And
I know.
so,
Yeah, you know, this is the fact that we've had to be so careful right now, and the fact that, you know, this has gone on now so many months. We, as human beings, we thrive on the connection. I don't think we, you know, we didn't take it for granted before all this happened, but I think we've shown, I think, an extra focused light on just how important those simple pleasures are, how important it is that we, you know, really appreciate the times we get to spend with each other, whether it's through art, whether it's through food and wine and gatherings and friends. You know, these are things that we are able to have in normal circumstances, and we're lucky and grateful that we get to have them. But certainly in times like these, we just miss them so very much. And so we pivot, as you said. We do what we can. I mean, the fact that we have, you know, some hundreds of people tuning in from around the globe to taste wine with us, I think that's, you know, it's pretty cool to me. I think it's pretty fun. And so in the live music landscape as well, we are also pivoting. I was doing songs in my shower for a little while, and then my manager Dermot said, "Hey, you know, at some point we got to go back to work and try and do this with a little bit of a higher production rate, and you know, as good as the reverb is in the shower." So, so he planned kind of a show that we did in June. That was just kind of a trial. We didn't know how many people would tune in, and 63 countries tuned in. And so, you know, when you don't get applause after every song, you wonder if people are watching or if they care. And the comments that I got afterwards, and realizing just how therapeutic it was for me and therapeutic it was for those that were tuning in, I realized it was a win-win. It was a different kind of win-win that I was ever used to in this business, but it's a sign of, you know, I wanted to do something that was both artistically rewarding and also safe, and could tackle all the things that we love to do when making music, everything except being in the room and sharing that space, which nothing can compare to that. When I get to finally take foot on a stage again and greet an audience again for the first time, that's going to be one of the happiest moments of my life. And so, so we did that live stream, and it was so successful. We're going to do 3 more. We're doing one in October, one in November, and one in December. The first one's going to be a Broadway concert for all the theater freaks like me, and then we're going to do the kind of a celebration of the new album Harmony, which is just a ton of songs. We're mixing and mastering right now. Cannot wait for the fans to hear that album. I'm so proud of it. And then December, I'm going to do my first ever Christmas concert. I can't believe my first ever Christmas concert is going to be virtual, but it is. So so I hope people tune into that, and hope they enjoy the new album. And Ross, I mean, back to you as far as what you are doing to pivot. You know, so much of making wine has to do with every aspect of what your environment is going through at that moment, what your soil, your air, your rain flow, your harvest. And the thing that's so magical about wine is that the identity of that year shows itself in every bottle. And then it's up to, you know, the ingenuity of the proprietor and the winemaker to craft and mold what isn't changeable into the most delicious thing that is possible. And I think that's one of the things that has drawn me so much to wine in general, but specifically to your incredible Pinot, is just how, because delicate is Pinot is delicate. It's a fine art to craft a great Pinot, and you've done it so incredibly for so many years. What are you doing to hone that and pivot that craft during times like these?
well, I'll keep this short so we can get to tasting a very, very long story, but
Sure.
I'll say 2 things. One, there's a wide range of pivots that we've had to make, and one is going virtual with our tastings. And so we've become, in essence, similar to you, a media company. So we're doing virtual tastings with people around the planet, and or certainly around the country, not the planet. And it's been delightful and a real big surprise, bringing families together for Father's Day, celebrating birthdays with people,
Sure.
families together for Mother's Day.
Yep.
which never would have happened before. So it's really been an extraordinary gift in many
Yeah.
regards.
Yeah.
On the winemaking front, you know, we've been subject to just horrific circumstances this year. And there is, you know, smoke for weeks right during the ripening and pre-harvest of our grapes. And there is only so much you can do before, you know, in terms of managing those things that are out of your control. And most, by the way, of winemaking is out of your control.
Sure.
But, and that's where the art comes in. And in this case, you know, I mean, people are making different decisions, but we've made a decision to take a year off. We do not want to be in a position of making a wine that doesn't meet the standards of our quality that we are known for, and the risk is too high. So that's how we're pivoting. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be real. You know, this is our sole livelihood, but we're committed to creating an extraordinary product, and we had to go to our heart of hearts and say, you know, we're not confident we can do that this year. This is bigger than we are. So,
well, Ross, I think it's a testament to your commitment to your audience, to those that have looked to you for guidance. And, you know, in any profession, in any art form, and I definitely view what you do as a great art form, you know, there has to be a trust from your, you know, listeners, those that drink your wine, to make sure that every time they open that bottle, every time they pour that glass, that they're going to get the quality that they know from Halleck and from what you do. And so I actually think that decision is a really brave one. And I think it's one that is keeping the fans of your wine, me included, at the forefront of what you are considering when crafting. And so it's a difficult decision, and it's one that will only yield a very, very special return when it's able to come back. And that's why, you know, that's why it's so great that there are vintages, you know, because we get to enjoy what you've already bottled, you know, and especially when there's a year when, you know, you're not going to be able to get a hold of one of these, all the more reason why it's so great to be able to drink the fruits of your labor from the past many years.
And now let's try tasting the fruits of our labor, which has really been the beauty of all of this. And so
you can't see, but I've put all the glasses here. I've got all the bottles here. I'm ready to go.
Ready to rock. Well, I'm doing them one at a time. I hate washing wine glasses, so but I did taste them earlier. We're going to start with the 2015 Find Your Light, which is the second.
And for all of you at home, if you've purchased these bottles, crack them open. Hopefully you've decanted properly. If you're watching and you haven't purchased, get on that, because you're gonna hear what we're smelling and tasting and get very jealous.
And it's accessible. So
this is the 2015.
This is the 2015. And what so let's talk. 2015 was the last of the drought years. You know, that's the one wonderful thing about tasting wine, is you're kind of looking back into history. And so remember, we suffered these many years of drought, and this was the last year. And so this was a season where there was very little rain for years prior. The fruit came in relatively early. It was a light crop, and ironically, or unfortunately, rain happened right at the end before harvest. But then again, fortunately, it dried up immediately and didn't affect anything, even though we lost a couple nights of sleep. So,
interesting. So this was a miracle.
They're always a miracle. They're
the anti-rain dance, whatever it was. This on the nose is very fruity, very cherry.
Absolutely, and it's young. I mean, this is 5 years old, and it still has some. And what I really love, I love the sort of the translucent, beautiful sort of garnet color.
Yeah, it is. Oh, the color is incredible on this one. And Ross, how often do you recommend a young Pinot? Like, what's the average time you recommend to age one of your Pinots?
You know, that is a big, I don't know. We just recently sold a 2001 Halleck Vineyard, our very first vintage. And I was fortunate enough to taste it with the people who purchased it from us. And it was fully alive. And so that's 19 years. And there was no browning around the edges. It was
really,
it was stunning. And we have this, you know, beautiful wine club called our Inner Circle. And when times allowed, we would meet every year and open up our old vintages and let everybody taste. And, you know, they seem to be holding up very well. So I haven't reached a point where I can say, well, this is the optimal time to open.
Yeah.
I mean, Burgundy, a 30-year-old Burgundy is a young Burgundy.
Of course. Yeah, sure. Should we taste?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a wow.
That's it. Yeah. That's got like that's got such a wonderful spice to it. I feel like that's got a great, it's fruity, it's round, but it's got that little kick on the palate.
White pepper. I call it white
yeah,
pepper.
it is peppery. Yeah.
Yeah. And it tastes young, doesn't it? I mean, this does not taste like a 5-year-old wine that's been sitting in the bottle for 5 years.
No, this is it does taste very, very young. It's got a lot of energy.
And a lot of life left. And it's just gorgeous now.
Yeah, really good acidity.
And there's, I don't know, maybe it's because I remember the times we smoked a cigar together. There's this little hint of tobacco in there.
Now you're getting into the levels that are where I defer to you, because you know, I get to about the first 3 levels and then I just hit great wine, and then that's where my you're gonna go deep, Ross. I have a feeling after what's after tobacco there, Ross. Little I'm so impressed when there's a palate that just can take.
There's some touch of cranberry, so I taste that bright red fruit along with the cherries up front. There's a little bit of that tartness that you get with fresh cranberries, like in, you know, Thanksgiving turkey when you have the cranberry sauce.
Oh yeah, see, that's why when I ask and I hear that, like, once you say it, I then like, oh yeah, of course.
Well,
what was I thinking? You want to taste?
There's a certain, you know, suggestive quality. So of course, if I said that there was mint in there, you'd never be able to taste that because it doesn't exist. But
that's good, right? I like that. Yeah. No, I can't. Yeah, I can't taste the mint.
No,
there's no mint. There's nothing worse than brushing your teeth and then having a glass of wine. So I do. My rookie advice to anybody is if it's late at night and you're thinking of maybe you want to have a glass of wine before bed, wait to brush your teeth. That's my only tip for this whole thing. And somebody just said they want you to say hi, so you got to come in and say hello.
Toothpaste tastes good after wine.
My girlfriend Skylar is here, and she loves wine too. And so I'm gonna be.
I'm gonna be. You.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, she can't. Yeah, I've got my AirPod in, but he said hi, and I'm gonna be sneaking glasses off to her when I'm done sipping.
Well, Anjan is here, not here, but she's also enjoying this, as are my parents. My parents are chiming in.
Even in a virtual tasting, if you can, there's got to be a little bit of a group activity.
Yeah.
That is great. That is really great. So far, we're 1 for 1, Ross.
1 for 1, and it's wonderful tasting a vertical here. So let's go to the 2016. And before we do this, Stephanie's online, and I'm wondering if you could tee up the little video we have, Steph, of our making this wine. We have just a 10-second video of this going on, and
yeah.
Why don't we pour the wine? Here it comes.
Yeah. That was such a fun day.
It was. This is my son.
There's my brother Chris, and there was my beard from. I had just finished my Broadway show, where I had to have a beard that was almost down to my chest. And there's you and Dearman, and we were. What we were doing there is we were tasting many different percentages of
Hmm.
which grapes from which vineyards, and oh,
Rick.
there's Rick, yeah, uh, who was who's so great. He's so talented, and I don't know if he's on watching right now, but Rick is such an incredible educator. As you can see in the video here, he's schooling us on what it is we are tasting, what it is we should be tasting, and you know, the fascinating thing, that just brought me back to such a great. I love this. I love how it feels and smells in a
Oh, isn't it
winemaking
great?
facility
Yeah.
too. It's so great. It's just a little chill in the air, and it's musky, and you can smell all the oak in all its glory in there while things are aging. And so was that video while we were doing the 16?
Yes, it was the 16.
Okay, all right. So the 16, for those playing along at home, what's in this glass? How fun
So
was
this,
was what we
oh,
were.
I think we lost you there, Josh.
Oh, am I
What's in
there?
this wine?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. You had a
Okay, we
little
got you.
break.
Okay. Everybody's saying drink. We got to go through the steps here.
So for one, you notice that the color is much darker.
Darker, yeah. That's
Yeah.
so interesting. That's so interesting to me. The difference. It's hard to tell on the Zoom here, but the difference between the 15 and the 16 are really quite striking. Why is that, Ross?
Well, if you remember, we play around with different vineyards. And
Right.
so the fruit has different sources. These are blended wines that, they're truly a creative endeavor that we both embarked upon.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so even though the vineyards are really within just a few miles of each other, I mean, we're not taking wine from all over California. I mean, they're probably
Right.
3 or 4 miles of each other.
Yeah.
Each vineyard expresses differently.
Yeah. And do you recall off the top of your head, Ross, which vineyards we chose for this one?
This, yes, I do remember. So this is the farm vineyard.
Okay.
And the Haas vineyard. So this is
And the
Pete
Haas,
Haas.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, sure. And I remember when, it's interesting because the incredible thing about what you and what Rick, especially, who's tasting probably even more than you are, I would imagine, during the course of a day,
Mm-hmm.
is not getting your palate tired, to know what it is you're tasting for after all that wine. And that was the incredible thing when we were all standing around in that video and we were all tasting just maybe 5% more of Haas, maybe 10% more of the farm, maybe 15% of a vineyard we decided not to go with, whatever it is. And getting the differences was fascinating.
Well, and what's really touches me really is that, so this was in 2016 and we picked these two I mean, you really took these 2 barrels randomly. These are the 2 barrels that you liked. And then last year in 2019, the farm vineyard won #1 Pinot Noir in the United States. It
There you
got
go.
best of class, and the Haas vineyard got a double gold and 99 points. And
Well,
so
it's difficult having expensive tastes. What can I say? I feel very validated by that because but it goes to show that
you got a great
that there is
palate.
you can well I don't think that's actually true, but what I do think is true is that there's all kinds of subjectivity to all kinds of things. Some people like a certain type of wine, some people like a certain type of food, but I think that sometimes the truly great things are liked by a lot of people, even if they're not trained to like them, and they may not know why they like them. They like them, and I'm certainly somebody who is not trained in this area. My training is elsewhere, but my enjoyment and my passion for wine comes from a place of just wanting to taste and learn, and so I'm finding this to be just as delicious as when we sat around that but there would be some changes, right, from that day to now.
Oh, absolutely. It changes every day. Every
So
day
when
in
you're
the bottle.
tasting, so when you're tasting on a day like that day, you're not only tasting for the here and now, you're tasting to try and project what it is you want to taste a few years from now,
Mm-hmm.
which is having the foresight. And in music, that's that's like making a demo on GarageBand and hearing in your head what it is you really want to have when you finally master that song. So
I just got a question from Lisa. When did you fall in love with Pinot? When did you discover this wonderful grape that we both have poured our hearts into?
Well, you know, Ross, I got to be honest. I was always a fan of the Pinot grape. I just, as a grape, I just found it to be just, you didn't need to do anything to it. You know, I love blends, and I love, you know, a Cabernet or a big Chardonnay or something. You know, California is known for bigness, and you go to your part of the state or Napa, and you have a big flavorful meal with a big flavorful wine. And I just, I started to learn about why I fully appreciated Pinot from drinking your wine. Quite frankly, it was because I liked wine, full stop. You know, and I liked and I would always like trust the sommelier. I'd drive up to Napa and visit with proprietors, and I would learn about all the different kinds of wine they made, and I appreciated all of them for all the different things they do. And you also make, you know, other incredible wines as well. But it wasn't until I drank your Pinot that I realized that there could be so much color to a Pinot. My issues with Pinot in the past had been that I thought, and maybe this was just because my palate was trained to such a California style of wine and cuisine, but I had thought in the past that Pinots could be just a little bit light on their feet for my taste.
Insipid, yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things that really stands out about your Pinot, and people have written about this and given you awards for this, is the fact that there is so much richness to it, not on the level of a different kind of grape, but as far as just the bigness, but I would say balance is the right word. There's a balance to it that I hadn't found in a Pinot like I'd found in yours until I went to Burgundy. And when I went to Burgundy, I tasted other Burgundy wines that reminded me of the quality and richness and balance that I found in your wines. Yeah.
Well, that is a huge compliment, because I describe myself as a new world winemaker with old world style. And I was certainly introduced to Pinot Noir through Burgundy.
Yes.
And, you know, I've always wanted to make Burgundy. And so here we are.
Yeah.
And that,
yeah.
I mean, I wish I had teed you up on that one. That was the best compliment you could have made.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. But it's comparable, Ross. It really is, because when I taste this 2016 especially, you know, I have that aha that I had when I would drink Burgundies, you know, where it's just like, I didn't exactly know what it was I was looking for, but I know now that I found it, you know? And so, no, it's just great. And I thank you for not only introducing me to the greatness of Pinots, but also teaching me so much over the course of making these, how they are crafted.
So let's move on to the 2017.
Well, before we move on to the 2017, I want to hear your descriptors.
Oh, didn't I say anything about this?
Of the taste of this 2016.
So sorry, I thought I did. It was in my mind. So what I think about,
you may have, but I'm already drunk, so I've forgotten. So go right ahead.
So when I made comment about the dark color. That's I guess where we stopped. I think that there, you know, it certainly is. There's tones of cherry. What I notice in the palate is hints of anise and vanilla, and so along with vanilla, the earthy tones, there's this beautiful roundness that that balances with the acid and balances one of the wonderful things that you describe. And so in the palate, I get plums and cherries, the anise, and maybe a touch of clove.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Certainly a rich mouthfeel. I mean, it just fills your mouth.
Absolutely. We had a fascinating conversation with a friend of yours. You'll forgive me, I forgot his name. Who talked a lot about mouthfeel. What was his name? Over at Aquamista. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. So a character, a great guy. People might have seen him in the Somme, I think, documentaries, and I learned a lot that day about what you're talking about, which is, I guess the wine terminology for that feeling, that kind of warm blanket you get in your mouth when you taste a great wine.
Yeah, it's comfort food for your mouth,
Yeah,
or it's comfort drink.
this 2016 is definitely lives up to the color. It's very, very rich, very bold,
Mm.
and it's delicious.
So the reason I was so excited to get to the 2017 is
Yeah,
because of the reference to Burgundy.
yeah.
This one goes there. Um, using my trusty Corbin here.
And this one doesn't even have a label yet.
No, we haven't labeled it. It's sitting, aging, waiting for us to declare. Oh, but
This one is you can sign up to order this though, right?
yes, you can.
Yes.
This is a futures opportunity. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to trust Ross and I on this one, because this is since working on this with you, this is my first time having a real taste. Ooh.
So this one has that wonderful earthy feral aroma of Burgundy. The French call it animal or sauvage.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's certainly fruit here, but the balance of fruit and earth kind of leads towards the earth in this case. It's
yeah. Mm. Oh, definitely.
And looking at the color's right in the middle of the two.
It is.
It's like
Oh, wow.
than the 15 and lighter than the 16.
It is, but it's got a ever so slightly that earthy, almost a Bordeaux quality of that kind of mineral sensibility that just a hint of it that just gives it such an interesting texture that is very different from the 15 and 16.
Yeah.
And it is like the kind of the bowl of porridge, in between them.
And by the way, these are the same vineyards though. So that's
incredible.
Yeah.
That's what a year will do.
That's what a year will do. And like every year is mysterious. Every year contributes these sort of absolutely infinitely unknowable factors to what ends up in this glass. And, as winemakers, as vintner myself and winemaker, we, are as much about surrender as control. And, and that's where the art comes, and you, you're surrendering to something bigger than yourself.
Man, there's a huge amount of faith.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of faith in winemaking.
It is. It's a calling.
When did you find the church of winemaking? What was your sign, Ross? Yeah, hallelujah. Put your hands on the Zoom screen.
Yeah. Gosh, I chose wine as my drug of choice in my mid-20s.
Okay.
But, there were lots to choose from. Something about wine, I'm kind of an intellectual. And so there was this other part of wine that I really enjoyed in terms of discovery and learning, aside from the sensual and sort of experiential. And it also didn't have any of the downsides of the other drugs that were available to me. And I absolutely do think of wine as plant medicine. It carries the spirit of the earth with it, and so that captured my attention. But I had no idea that I would ever be making wine. We planted this backyard vineyard, and we actually earned, because with the help of Greg LaFollette, who you mentioned and met,
Yes.
We earned #1 Pinot Noir in the United States, our very first vintage. And so that was a sign. It was beyond me. It was a sign that we were on the right path.
Sure. So, that's extraordinary. And how incredible that your first swing, you hit such a grand slam.
Yeah, it was well, at that time, not many people cared. I mean, it was 2002. It was before, the most monumental thing that has happened in the wine industry in 8,000 years, we affectionately called the movie. But then the movie came, which was side.
Sure.
And then we became stars and
sure.
It became important.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Which, by the way, for the all important mentions of Pinot, I also think Merlot got a bit of a bad rap in that movie.
Totally a bad rap.
I think it must be said when talking about that movie that there is a lot of love to be had from a good Merlot.
Absolutely.
But no, these are absolutely delicious, and it's making me feel so good to I love doing the singing, and I can't wait to do the live streams and sing. Some people were even asking me to
Well, so
sing,
you've got an album coming out. So
sing
tell us
some of the
about that.
notes, sing some of the notes of what I'm getting in these wines.
Oh, well, please.
Cranberry, I'm getting father's leather belt. No, I'm just kidding. That's not in there.
That is. Cigar
Is it?
box.
Oh,
Let's hear what
the
cigar box.
Oh, good, yeah. Cigar box. Everybody order these wines. But to be able to, I feel it's been a long time since we've been able to clink a glass together, and this one, this one I'm cheering to. This one I'm cheering to my beloved dog who just passed away this last month. I'm giving a toast to my dear beloved Sweeney, who's up there, who I have to say, when I took him up to Napa, I would drive him up to Napa, and he loved the wine cellars because they had all, there's rodents sometimes in there, and they love dogs because they keep the rats out of the cellars, so he would go down there and just be a total terrier and sniff around all the things. There was one, I think we were at, I don't know where we were, Hourglass or somewhere like that, and he had dipped his head almost entirely in the spit bucket that was on the ground, and just had this red wine just dripping from his beard. Thankfully, he didn't drink any. So this one's to Sweeney.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2016 to you, and to good health, and to your amazing family. And thank you for bringing us together today through wine and through your craftsmanship, and for making us feel a little bit closer through the amazing art that you make, Ross. So to you in the 2016.
You too.
And to the 2017, fittingly to the future, to
a brighter future,
to a brighter future, to getting through this and finding our way with safety and with harmony. The name of the new album.
Yes, perfect. That was my next question.
Yep. And to everybody who's tuned in today, just wishing you nothing but just peace and love and good wine and good friends, whether they're virtually with you or in person, and to appreciating what we have in front of us.
So
and this is a great one. I love the 17.
So I've been let's see, I've been being texted to with questions. I think we should go into a little Q&A.
Let's go to a few questions. Sure thing.
Yes. This question is, what do Haas and the farm each contribute to the finished wine? That's an interesting question.
That's on you, yeah.
They are the grapes. And so they are the finished wine is a product of those two vineyards. And it's, I don't remember what the percentage was. If it's a question that is of percentage, I don't remember, but those two vineyards contribute to the wine 100%.
Yeah.
And let's see, ask questions to Josh. How much input do you have in the winemaking process, Josh? People are interested.
Sure. So much like in the music making process, it's a team effort, it's a collaboration. And so when I am lucky enough to come up to Sebastopol and to see Rick and to work with Ross, I'm there both as somebody that wants to taste and help decide on which of what goes into what, and kind of give my opinion about what I think tastes the best. And I'm also there as a student to learn as much as I can and to rely on the expertise of those that do this every day. And so it's kind of half, giving my opinion about what tastes good, and then also wanting to make sure that as we all give our opinions, we know it's the right vintage when we all kind of go, yeah, we all agree. It's democracy at its finest. And so for me, it's a joy to taste all the different options that could be. It makes me realize just how incredible it is to make wine and to be a winemaker, because there are endless possibilities to put in the wine and endless ways that wine could turn out over the course of the next 2 or 3 years. So I'm there to share my palate and my opinion and to learn. And luckily, whenever we've done this together, we have all happily clinked glasses and said that's the one and that's the way to go.
Yeah. And that's always the way it is. It's
Yep.
I think democracy at its finest. But I have to give you a little bit more credit than that, from saying that when you're there, it's kind of like on us to sort of follow your lead, and that it's kind of a pleasure to do that, to bring a colleague into the mix and say, much of this is subjective. So let's give Josh his go. Let's make a wine for Josh. And granted, we're not going to let you make a bad wine, but you helped lead that, and I think the credit goes to you for the quality of these bottles.
I appreciate that so much, Russ, and I'm so proud of the work we've done to collaborate on these bottles, and what makes them extra great to taste, because wine is oftentimes so much more than just the flavor of the wine. There's so much more that goes into wine. It's the heart and soul that went into it, and the reason for the wine can be a huge factor as well. And so the fact that this is all going to just in an amazing way, and in your great generosity, going to the Find Your Light Foundation, it makes every bottle that's ordered, every bottle that's drunk around the table, that every dollar is gone to making sure that a young person gets that paintbrush, gets that instrument, continues in that play. And so it's just, it's good karma all around. And so that's my favorite thing about what we've done.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely ordained. It just feels like it fit together like hand in glove, the whole partnership.
Absolutely.
Let's see, I've got a question from Rachel. She says she understands that Pinot grapes are delicate. How are your vines trained and shaped to produce such a delicate grape? And just so that there isn't a misunderstanding, we don't really train and shape the vines, although there is a trellising technique that we use to make sure that they have as much sun as possible. But basically, we chose the varietal, which is Pinot Noir. We choose the clones, which gets a little bit more detailed, and we plant a vineyard, and then we wait, and it could last 100 years. And we make sure we take care of it, and we listen to it, and we nurture it, and we kiss it and play music for it.
That is so French of you.
And hopefully, it produces wines like this. So there's a sense, there's a perception there, and partly it's having your name on the bottle, that we have control over this. But I want to say that this is I've said it earlier, but this is a surrender process, and there's not a lot of control here, but there is a lot of love and intention. And if intention is control, then we have the intention of making great wine, and it seems to work.
This is where the frou-frou-ness of making wine gets into play, which is not altogether incorrect. There's a lot of, like you said, lifting your hands up and saying, Pinot, take the wheel.
Yeah. So let's see. Question is, how many vintages of Find Your Light Pinot have we made, Josh?
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to say there's been 4 now.
4.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. Gosh, the time has flown.
Yeah.
And when we first started on this journey together, it was, I looked forward to a day like today when we could do a vertical, and really taste them one after another, and just, the education being there, of course, with you, but then to have the education of hindsight, and to be able to open these bottles now, many years later, and to taste how they've developed. It's fantastic. It's been absolutely wonderful, and I've loved this. I've loved this very much. This has been a lot of fun. And the fourth, the 2014. Am I right? We did it.
Yeah, the 2014 was the first, and then the fourth is the 2017.
Yeah, is the 17. Yeah, a couple people were writing in asking us to talk about the 14 as well, which was the first time that anybody had tasted this wine, and it was just a sign of things to come for us. And this 17 now, you know, we've learned a lot in the last 4 years, and there's a lot of there's more experience in the 17. I think this is
There is.
like you said, there's
Taste it.
that balance, and there's that honing, I think, that's happened in the 17. And so I think the 17 has that essence of just the experience of having gone through this for so many years with you, and it's been wonderful.
Well, I look forward to when we can actually taste together. We had some plans to join you at Radio City Music Hall that
I know.
unfortunately
I know.
we're not
We'll
able to
get
happen.
back.
Yeah.
We'll get back. You know, the important thing is that everybody does the right thing, does the safe thing. There will always be wine. There will always be music. There will always be live performances. Nothing that is crushing our spirits this year is going to continue forever. And so until then, we wait and we be patient and we celebrate when we get to do it again. But I very much look forward to that day as well, Ross.
Me too. Well, thanks for joining me. I really, really appreciate this. It's great to see you.
You too. You're looking well, my friend. You look great.
Well, thank you. So do you. So do you.
Quarantine is doing well for you.
Well, I've got a little COVID weight. Looks like you've lost weight. You look really trim and fit.
I've somehow lost 15 COVID pounds, and I don't know how that happened, but at some point I'll see a doctor.
That one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wine helps. I'll tell you, wine. But no, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. And to those that have tuned in at home, don't let us stop you. Keep tasting, keep drinking, keep ordering. Thank you to everybody who has supported Find Your Light. As we mentioned earlier, that every dollar that you're spending on what bottles are left. I mean, we've sold out so many, but in some that are left of the 2016 and then the 2017 as well.
So we're well through the 2016. So now
we are, yeah.
Time to order that.
So
and the 2017, just send us your email address and we will let you know when we release it. And
I promise you that this is something you're going to want to have and you're going to want to let sit in your cellar and take out at a very, very special time, because it's really special, as has this been. So to you, my friend, and to everybody watching, be well. Cheers.
Cheers.
And may the next year and the next vintage be even more fruitful.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.